What's that? It's Hippo Balls, Week 10, coming to you live from the Hippo Den. I know it's been a few weeks, and I know you guys probably don't care, but guess what? I am back in the Hippo Den, and we got a lot to talk about. We got a lot of important things that have happened, some for the good, mostly for the bad, but we got, starting off with college football roundup, the Gators got dominated by Texas, FSU got trampled by Notre Dame by 50, and surprisingly, lost to Georgia Tech by 5. Their defense is horrific. Cam Ward's still amazing. Defense really, really bad. Anyways, on to who's back. The biggest who's back there is. We got Daddy Trump back in office. King Trump is back after absolutely curb stomping Kamala and the Democrats. And while he may be a vile, repulsive, lying, cheating, felon con man, he is kind of funny, and the American people would rather vote for a significantly flawed, funny, felonious white male than a pretty annoying black Indian woman. The Democrats, who are on the dead list, are truthfully just big loser nerds and whiny losers, and nobody wants that, including myself. They used to be the cool party compared to the uptight, prudish Republicans, but that's no more. The Republicans control the media and that people are actually listening to, whether it's Joe Rogan or Elon on Twitter or all the podcasts that are in the top 5. You go look at podcasts, every single one of them are basically Republican. The Dems have like old school newspapers, CNBC. Nobody's watching that anymore other than our parents and Danny. The Democrats ran a shit campaign. They ran a shit campaign. The whole campaign was basically, we're not Trump. She didn't, and it's not all her fault. Biden should have dropped out a lot sooner. We didn't have a primary. That fucked everything up. You ran a very unlikable candidate who had very low approval ratings from the start of being vice president. And you had to basically keep her in because or else you would have had to give the money back. So you had to run her. If you would have dropped out before primary, I think there was a better chance. But she didn't differentiate herself at all from Biden. She went on The View, which who cares, and said, like, I wouldn't change anything that Biden did. And basically we ran on, hey, isn't Trump suck? And calling everyone in America, hey, you idiots, we know better than you do. That's not going to work. Calling half of America idiots and bozos and racists and Nazis is not how you win the presidency, and we clearly learned that. Gonna have some huge ramifications. Trump is more likely than not going to name the next 2 Supreme Court justices. Things are going to get very conservative. Especially with the House, the Senate, and the presidency, all going to the Republicans. Abortion, immigration, gay trans rights, etc. All those things pretty not back but not dead and mostly dead for this future. For the time being, it's going to take a lot of years to turn back some of this stuff. It's not the end of times as of now. There's still some things to hope for, and hopefully Trump does a great job. I hope that we all root for him. I think that we need to come together as a country as a whole. But yeah, a lot of not great stuff. I think the Dems have the best chance in 2028 running Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom's a wild child. He used to date Trump Jr.'s wife, Kimberly Guilfoyle, so we can like tell me how my dick tastes to him. I think that's pretty cool. People will like that. I know he's trying to like become more moderate because he knows he's going to run in 2028. He did that debate with DeSantis, and he did pretty good, even though that debate was weird. He's cleaning up the drugs and the homeless people, and he's saying that he never liked that. The stealing has to stop in the stores. So I think he's the best. He's a good-looking white guy. That's what we need. We don't need a woman probably not running for the next 50 years. We fucked it up on that. So that's all I have on that. Next up on Who's Back, we got crypto. Trump says he loves crypto. Does he know what crypto is? No. But does he love it? Yes. Good for Vivek. Good for everyone in crypto. Bitcoin's at 80,000, which is an all-time high. Of course, I just have worthless NFTs. But Trump came out and said that he'll just pay the national debt in crypto by clicking a button and trillions of dollars. We'll just pay the... I don't even know who you're paying the debt to. That's not how crypto works. But good for everyone holding crypto, I guess, for now. The January 6th defendants. The January 6th defendants, pardons incoming for them. They're having a day. Good for them. Good for the Bob's Burger guy who just got sentenced. He'll be pardoned. Bird flu. Bird flu's back. Canada's first human case detected of bird flu. So that's not great, especially when you consider who's going to be running the health organizations in America shortly, and I'll get into that soon. Is that all we have on who's back? Yes, I was getting into that they had some election interference. I think I already went over that. Elon giving people $1 million, and the way he was pumping out just purely Republican content on Twitter, even if you didn't want it, was crazy. But you get to be a trillionaire, and that's what you get to do. Good for Elon. Good for Trump. It is what it is. Be better. We got to come up with like some liberal cool shit. Get some. We had not one Democratic cool podcast. It's not cool to have what's his name, Andrew Gillum, have a podcast. That's super not cool. So they need to get some moderate Democrats to be cool again. It used to be cool to be a Democrat. Right now it's not. Need to switch that up. Starting off on who's dead. Who's dead? We got Peanut the Squirrel. Peanut the Squirrel's dead. That was also a big part of the election. If you didn't see at the end there, they squeezed in Peanut the Squirrel in the Idiocracy election that we just had. And this was an insta-famous squirrel named Peanut. It's P with the apostrophe nut. And he was rescued by Mark Longo in 2017. And the NY State Department of Environmental Conservation did like an Elian Gonzalez live raid and took the squirrel and also took a raccoon that no one talks about, Fred, but we'll get into that. Because they got like an anonymous complaint that this guy was housing wildlife illegally and not getting them vaccinated. So they took the squirrel, they took the raccoon, they euthanized them. People on social media went bananas. Squirrel lives matter, raccoon lives kind of matter. They were going to do like protests. The Republicans somehow switched it into like the liberals are trying to kill your pets, and if the immigrants don't eat them first, the liberals are going to kill them because it was in New York. Ridiculous stuff, but like real Republicans were commenting on it. The Democrats were saying no comment, like crazy that Peanut the Squirrel is what crossed it over. Probably not. Trump won by 1 trillion votes, but it was a talking point. Yeah. So let me show you some pictures. Also, all right, let me show you some pictures first, and I'll get into it. There's a lot to talk about, and I'm a little rusty. But, all right, so here is Peanut the Squirrel. Look at that. It's a cute squirrel. I'm not going to say it's not a cute squirrel. Look at him looking out the window. He's like, I'm going to live for a long time. And then here's Fred. No one really cares about Fred, but here's Fred with a pup cup. He's dead, too. Both of them dead. New York euthanized them because I think they thought they may have rabies, so they didn't want to take a chance. Mark Longo came out, the guy with the squirrel and the raccoon came out and said that people were jealous and that they called in, they swatted his house for these animals because of the OnlyFans account. I don't know if it's an OnlyFans account for the squirrel and the raccoon or for him. The article was vague on that. Weird either way. So that's Peanut the Squirrel. Peanut the Squirrel's dead. Next up, we got Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley's dead. An elephant never forgets, and neither does Trump. And unfortunately for Pocahontas, Trump remembers what you said, and even though you bent the knee, you bent it a little too late. So stand up, you're embarrassing yourself. You are not in the administration. You're fired. Ben's dead, unfortunately. Ben Stevens for the trade. Also, Ben, unfortunately, America's favorite golden retriever, Ben, passed away after a battle with cancer. And the sports world as a whole, and I think just the world as a whole, mourned as Kurt Herbstreit gave a great eulogy to his best friend on College Game Day, which he quickly replaced with another golden retriever. I don't know how many golden retrievers he has, but there's already another golden retriever. Still very sad. Ben was great. R.I.P. Ben. Who's not back but not dead? We got Biden. Biden's not back but not dead somehow. He's coming out after the election, and he seems fine, and he's talking normal, and he's joking around, chopping it up with Trump on the phone. Makes no sense. He did the Kevin Spacey at the end of Usual Suspects where he's limping, and then he just starts walking normally. Seems like maybe Biden was in the pockets of the Republicans and it was just a huge coup altogether. So good for Biden. Maybe he has another term in him. He could run in 2028. Who's not back but not dead? Next, we got Making America Healthy Again. RFK is more likely than not going to be America's new health czar under Trump. And that's for better or worse, of course, because he is a man with a parasitic brainworm who killed 70 children in Samoa by telling them not to take the measles vaccine. And he will be in charge of childhood health, most likely, while I like cereal having less preservatives. taking fluoride out of water and having our teeth fall out and getting rid of vaccinations, in my opinion, is not ideal. But what do I know? Next up on Who's Not Back But Not Dead, we got the Taliban. The Taliban from the clouds will attend a UN climate conference for the first time. And it seems that the Taliban, who took over Afghanistan in 2021, and we haven't heard any bad things, I guess, recently, they care more about climate change than we do. So, big ups to the Taliban. Stat of the day. Stat of the day. Only one other president to win non-consecutive terms. Who is it? Quiz. It's Grover Cleveland. The big homie Grover Cleveland. A man who had a sex scandal of his own. The first sex scandal ever as a president in July of 1884. The mainstream media at the time, which I think was just one local newspaper, reported that Cleveland had fathered a child out of wedlock, and most assumed that that would be curtains for his campaign, but he decided to own up to it. To be fair, one of his campaign people said he did think about lying about it, but he decided to own up to it. The American people clearly are good at forgiving and forgetting, and he became the president. I have some more tidbits on Grover Cleveland, who seems like what a guy. He was president from 1885 to 1889, and then he was president from 1893 to 1897. He was the first Democrat elected after the Civil War, and was the only president until Trump to leave the White House and return for a second term 4 years later. He was a lawyer out of Buffalo who became notable for a single-minded concentration upon whatever task faced him. There was some good stuff. Cleveland won the presidency with combined support of Democrats and Reform Republicans, the Mugwumps. Maybe the Mugwumps come back this time around, who disliked the record of his opponent, James Blaine of Maine. He was a bachelor, Cleveland, so he came in, no wife, kid out of wedlock, who wanted to, he said that he was ill at ease at first with the comforts of the White House, saying that he wanted to go out to dinner and hang out with his friends, and he had to stay in the White House all day, and he wasn't able to do that anymore. Pretty fun guy, seems like. Good for Grover Cleveland. Picks. There's a lot more about Grover Cleveland. I can go on for hours about Grover Cleveland. Seems like a very fascinating man, but we don't have that kind of time, and no one really wants to watch us to begin with, so I'm going to keep going. I'm going to do a code word. You guys have to say the code word. If you want more hippo balls in the future, the code word is mugwumps. So once you've watched, you have to say mugwumps. And if we don't get over 50% mugwumps, then no more hippo balls. That's what it is. Mugwumps is the word. This is like a SAT tutoring test. All right, picks. Bears at New England, -6. Bears. Are they at New England or are they at... It doesn't matter. I'm taking the Bears -6. They're the better team. Caleb Williams needs to bounce back. He's been playing like dog shit. They're at Chicago. -6 Bears. Lock that in. Bills -4 at Indy. Joe Flacco kind of came back to earth. Bills are way better. Colts are frauds. Bills -4. I'm hammering that. I'm also doing a Bills-Bears money line parlay, which comes out to like +102 or something. That's easy money. Also, give me Bijan anytime TD and Taysom Hill anytime TD for a parlay. That's all I have. Have a day.